Welcome to our new. Well, we were actually talking about Frisky Dingo. This week we're not.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Welcome to You Are Due. Me, your host, is always Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, is Matt Dykes.
Yeah. No nickname.
No nicknames. We're not doing nicknames in our hiatus weeks. I was going to try to pick a character from V, and then I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to do since all the aliens just have fucking normal names. It's like, we have Matt, Bryan, Dykes. Like, they just don't really work.
Mainly because it's also your name.
Yeah, I mean, that also. But they spell it with an I in the movie, so they spell it incorrectly. Take that, all you Bryan listeners who spell it with an I.
You mean like everyone apart from you?
Yeah, we do it right. There's a few of us. There's dozens. Dozens! Sorry for the very obvious coffee noise. I went to Starbucks this morning on my morning walk, so you will have to listen to a little bit of this every now and then until I'm out of coffee. Sorry, listeners, but that's the way it works. So we're here.
I thought it was popcorn.
Wouldn't it be nice if it was popcorn? That'd be more fun. We are here this week on our first hiatus week. We're going to have, I think, a couple of these. We're definitely having two this week, and then next week's episode will not come out on Monday. It'll come out on Friday, the 13th. I'll let you guess what we're going to talk about. I might do a legit plug at the end of the episode, but right now, just think about what would we be talking about on Friday the 13th? I have no idea. What could it be? Yeah, we'll just let that
Nightmare on Elm Street?
Clearly, Nightmare on Elm Street. Or no, we're just going to do Sleepaway Camp. You know, all 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah.
I actually really like Sleepaway Camp. Have you watched it yet? You should.
I have not.
Not
Yet.
So in our hiatus, I didn't really know what to start with because I knew what I wanted to do for next week. Hint, again, on coming out on the 13th. But for this week, I was kind of drawing a blank, and I just kind of threw it out to Matt. I'm like, hey, I don't really know what to record this weekend. Do you have anything you wanted to do? And he immediately launched into, well, we should do V, the miniseries, because it's only about 3.5-ish hours long, and it's whole season baked into just 2 episodes, so it's great for like a one-off. And I said, okay. And then I had to somehow find the time to watch a 3-hour miniseries along with 2 movies for Behind the Hype. And I'm still working on all 12 movies for that movie that's coming out on the 13th. But I found the time to do it. I watched it. I surprisingly loved it. And we're here to talk about it.
I'm glad you loved it.
I loved the hell out of it, man.
There's always that worrying thing when you, especially something really old as well, something that's like, this is 1983, TV miniseries. There's always that worry when you recommend something to someone and you just think, are they going to like it? I loved it. I first saw it as a kid, though, and it's kind of like, So for me, it's like, I didn't see the original miniseries first. I saw the sequel, it's called The Final Battle, which as like, I think I was about 10 years old or something at the time when I saw it. And as a 10-year-old, that's great, because it's like, it's just a load of like laser battles and things like that.
Sure,
and,
yeah.
That's like, that's perfect for a kid. So I didn't see the original miniseries, though. But you get enough context from what's going on in the second one. So when it actually came to seeing the actual original miniseries, it was a fair few years later, and I was a bit older, and immediately like, oh, this is a different beast to the Final Battle, and it's just so much better because like you get to like the Final Battle, and it's like laser battle. Romantic scene with jazz music over the top of it. Laser battle, romantic scene with jazz music over the top of it. Laser battle, cliffhanger. Literally, that's how it goes. The Final Battle, and there's just something about the original miniseries that really grabbed me, and I've seen it loads and loads of times. I don't know how many times I've seen it, and I've watched. It's one of the first things I watched with audio commentary on as well, and yeah, so when I'm like going into it, it's like I'm very well aware that I have this deep-seated nostalgia for this series, for the whole series of things, and I did worry, is that gonna be, will it still translate well to someone who's seen it for the first time now, as someone who's an adult?
Yeah, like, I'm in my mid-30s. Like, this thing was made before I was even born. And honestly, like, the main reason I haven't watched it before now, because you and I have talked about it a couple times, like, especially when you're writing your article for it on our site, And I was always like vaguely interested in it. I was really interested in the remake series with, I'm forgetting her name now, from Deadpool and Firefly.
Marina Baccarin, is that how you say her name?
That sounds right. That's right. It's close enough where people know who we're talking about. Sorry, we've got the name wrong. But yeah, I always really liked her as an actor, so I was excited to watch that, and then I just didn't for whatever reason. Like I just don't think I had the best reviews, and people just weren't that into it. So I'm like, I'll watch the original at some point. But I was always kind of like, it's a TV miniseries from the 80s. Like, I've gone down this road before. I've seen it. It's horrible. Like, I've seen these like well-loved TV miniseries. Like, no, they're fantastic. And you watch them like, this was boring. It was obviously made for very cheap. I get why you liked it when it came out, but as of right now, this thing's shit. So when I turn this one on, I'm just like, I know what I'm sitting down for. I will just put myself in the headspace of the time, and I'll just try to enjoy it of the time. And that was like my baseline going in. Like, yeah, all right, but if I was around in 83, it would have been good, right? And that went out the fucking door within about 10 minutes. I'm like, no, this is good and it holds up now. Like, this is like fantastic sci-fi. It's a little cheesy at times. Like, the makeup's just a little wonky at times. The voice effect is corny but also super effective. Like, everything that I thought would age poorly aged just fine. And the whole thing works. Even when you're getting like ridiculous chase scenes in the second half with like the I don't know what they're called, like the shuttles, like the shuttle fly shooting down, like clearly like Millennium Falcon-esque scene. I'm like, this still holds up. Like, yes, it looks like 80s effects, but if this was a TV miniseries that I was watching in the 80s, my mind would have been blown. Like, it all looks good. It holds up. The music's great. It just works.
The music, the music is so good as well. The music has this motif that goes through it, and it's the Morse code for the letter V. So it's basically going ... dash. So it's like that dun 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 dun.
That's
dun,
amazing.
dun, dun, dun. It's the Morse code for the letter V. The same motif was actually used by Beethoven in his Fifth Symphony, and that was actually played at the start of the BBC wartime broadcast to Europe during World War II as well. So it's all like all that sort of stuff is really tied in to this idea of, you know, I'm going to jump right into this part. This sort of like thought on it is, everyone always like, whenever you talk about V, like, oh yeah, alien invasion. It's like, no, it's not an alien invasion story. It's an alien occupation story. It is an occupation, not an invasion, and that's the big crucial difference with V. And that's why I think it still holds up to this day, because it's something that is not done a lot. You know, you've got like alien invasion stories all the time. Independence Day, God knows how many other rip-offs of that as well.
Independence Day just rips this thing off left and right.
Oh yeah,
I had no
Kenny
idea.
Johnson, the guy who created V, bumped into Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich at one point at some premiere somewhere, and they actually said to him, "Oh, we've been ripping you off for years. It's good to meet you."
Well, at least they're aware of it.
Yeah, and he sort of like made a joke or something like, "Oh, where's my money then?"
I mean, you just watch the opening of this miniseries. It's like, holy shit, this is just Independence Day.
Yeah.
Like I feel it's even shot the same way. The only difference is they didn't have the effects to have the flaming clouds around the spaceships as they all just arrived. Otherwise, exact same opening. I
mean, that opening in El Salvador as well, I fucking love how they shoot, like, the very first few bits as well. It's literally like you're the documentary crew there. And it feels so much like very handheld, very sort of chaotic. And it's just, I love it. That opening sequence, it sort of throws you right into this sort of war-torn thing, and there's a lot of parallels that are then drawn later on, because you've got the rebel leader sort of like shoots the pistol at the helicopter, and then Julie does the exact same thing towards the end with the visitor fighter. She pulls the pistol out, and like, you know, you've got all that sort of nice sort of mixture of the, you know, the it's not mixture, it's comparative or something like that. I can't.
Yeah, it's a callback, like comparison callback,
something. Yeah, but I just love all that.
It's one of those things where, like, as I'm watching it, and admittedly I did have to watch it over multiple sittings because that's just the way I had to work with everything I have to watch right now. But as I'm doing it, I'm like this thing is just so smartly written. Like, it's kind of nice to watch something that's just so clearly mapped out. Like, it's just, I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase it. It's very well orchestrated from beginning to end. And especially like you're talking about the opening with that whole like the rebel fight scene. And I guess I should say I knew nothing about this series beyond aliens. That was the only thing I knew. I didn't know that they looked like lizard people. I didn't know the whole like farming people. Like I didn't know anything beyond there are aliens in it. So when that whole opening started, I think I even messaged you. I did not expect this to start with a war. Because it doesn't just like, you're right. It doesn't just start with like, oh look, they're in a battle. And like, and I'm judging this based on other TV miniseries from the time that I've seen. And it's like, usually these would look kind of cheap and cheesy. And this thing starts out with like visceral action. Like, holy crap. Like this is like intense.
You got the helicopter flying around, blowing shit up. You got people like dragging wounded people like while shooting at this attacking force as well. It's so sort of gritty in a way.
And you get so sucked into it, like by the end of the scene when the helicopter's like, I'm gonna blow Mike away. Whoa, fuck this, and leaves, and like, what just happened? And then, oh yeah, this is about aliens. There's a big alien ship.
And all those alien ships as well, matte paintings. They got to a point where I think they'd run out of budget or something for the model work thing, and they didn't have the budget to do the big sort of motherships as models. So they had like people do matte paintings and just basically animated the matte painting.
That explains why it looks so good. Like it looks phenomenal.
It's just I fucking love it. I love that opening shot where you just see it just coming towards him, and he's just like, holy crap. And then he's got that sort of that reporter thing of like, I'm gonna film this, but you can see in his face that it's just sort of like, what the hell is going on here? But it's just that sort of instinctive thing as well. I'll film this as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like we've seen this character, I mean, both before and after this miniseries, but it's done very well here. Like that, I'm a reporter who's willing to put my life on the line for the story. Like we've had that character all throughout history of cinema and TV. But I really like the version of it here. Like it was just kind of it felt like this character could have gone one of two ways. He could have just basically stayed the course of, I just need to find the story, or he could have kind of fallen off and they would have like, okay, now we have our point character, he's done his thing and we're going to move on. Or he's just going to get really fucking angry. Like, because of course he would get angry at what's going on. And his arc definitely goes from like, just, I need to know the right story, into I need to take these fuckers down.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it's just that progression from, I mean, for most journalists, their goal is to be nonpartisan and, you know, I'm just here for the facts, not to get invested in any of the actual incidents that are going on. And this one got so intense so fast that he had to like put the reporter part down, and he used his skills of a reporter and being like a wartime reporter and being able to get in these big scary places. He used those skills to then infiltrate the alien places so that he could actually start helping people. And I love how they just kind of grew that character throughout the miniseries. He was the only character, I mean, admittedly, the only character that I really kind of attached to throughout the whole thing, which is, I mentioned before we started recording, it's kind of my biggest problem with this, is that there are just so many characters to keep track of. I know they're all well written, I know they're all introduced well, as I'll let you explain better, but still, it's just like, I could remember Mike, I could remember Bryan, and I could remember Freddy Krueger. And otherwise, I'm just like, everyone looked familiar, but I didn't remember who they were or why they were there. That probably does have something to do with how I had to watch it, but still, there's just a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, there is a lot to keep track of, but I think the way they introduce the characters, it sets them up so well, so quickly, of like, you know, like Kenny Johnson's original draft of the script, none of the characters had names. They were all the reporter, the doctor, the hood, the cop. Like, you know, that was like how he wrote it, because he wanted all these different characters from like really different backgrounds, all coming to like different ethnicities, different everything, like everything different, and he wanted them all to sort of come together against this one sort of foe. And so like you build it up that way, and then like you've got to introduce them and set them up who they are really quickly. So what do? Okay, well, you introduce them doing what they are, you know, their base thing. So you've got Elias is introduced breaking into someone's house, and then he turns the TV on, and then he's like, holy crap, there's alien ships around on the news, what the hell's going on here? You've got Julie's introduced whilst working in the lab, you know, and then Ben is introduced as well. And this is what I love about this miniseries so much, is they introduce all these individual characters, and then all of a sudden they all start to interlink together. So you're introduced, like, you know, you've got Ben, Elias, and oh god, I've forgotten the dad's name. Which
I told you they're hard to keep track of.
That's annoying. That's really annoying. Caleb, that was it. So you've got Ben, Elias, and Caleb. All these characters are just set up as individual characters, and then all of a sudden you realise they're all related. And the way they do it is, it's when Caleb is taken into hospital.
Yeah.
You know, when he's been in the frozen thing. And Julie rings up Ben and says, your father's been taken to hospital. And then the camera just pans across, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're related. And then when he brings him home, Elias is there, and it's like, you know, oh my god, he's the brother. And then you've got these two very, you know, very contrasting characters. Of one's a really successful doctor, and the other one's a street criminal, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's just, I love how they do, how that's done. And, you know, this whole sort of like, this idea of them all feeling connected, and you've got that brilliant shot, and it's like I think it's panning, where it basically, it's the moving towards the right constantly.
Yeah.
And then, like, when everyone's, like, watching the news broadcast, and it keeps fading between the different households that are, and it's all this idea of, like, everyone's watching this together, they're all connected, these characters are all connected, and then, you find out that a lot of them live on the same sort of street as well. And it's just, I love all that. I love how it's so, you know, because you could take those elements and build an entire story around setting up those characters.
Yeah, you could, and I feel like at times the show almost does. Like it feels like it's definitely ensemble cast versus any one main character, which I really do appreciate, especially in a story like this. But there are just kind of, like, they're as good as it works, there are drawbacks, because every now and then, like, I'll get into a story and that story isn't dropped, but it's essentially forgotten for a long time. Primarily for me, it's the one with I'm forgetting all of their names now, but it's the family that was hiding the scientists, where their son became a sympathizer with the aliens and turned in his family. Fucking cool, dude. David, I think, was the main kid, right?
Daniel.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. So Daniel's the main kid. There's Abraham's the granddad, and he's great because he starts seeing all the same signs of, like, the Nazi uprising.
Oh yeah, I love the granddad in this. He's so good. Especially when they're, like, trying to graffiti the sign. He's like, no, it's V for victory.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's such a good scene.
It's brilliant, and it's just so. I love that's how it comes about as well. That V. And I love the look, because, like, everyone goes into it thinking V stands for visitors.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then you actually watch it and you're like, no, it stands for victory. And that, again, is I think it's a World War II thing. The French resistance, I think, used to spray paint V's for victory.
I believe so. You're the one who's written an article on this. I'll take your word for it.
Well, all I know is, like, the day or the night that it aired in South Africa, there was a load of people who, like, anti-apartheid people, went out and spray painted red V's everywhere.
That's gotta be.
It's one of my favourite stories of how, you know, how a media thing, like a TV series, a film, whatever, can influence real life. I fucking love that.
Yeah, that's really fucking cool. But I mean, even just like as like just a nerdy TV show thing, like, it just looks cool. Like like the design of it, like the specific red paint they picked on the poster, like, it just works. I mean, that's the reason why it gravitated towards people. Like, this thing, as weird and sci-fi and, you know, fucking lizard people as it can be, it still feels real. Like, it still resonates. And, like, I'm still talking as I just watched this thing. I finished it 2 days ago in 2020, have not seen it before that. And I'm like, no, this still works really well. I mean, fuck, in America, we're going through this right now. We have our fucking commander-in-chief telling us not to believe scientists, that they're all a bunch of quacks. Like, that is what's happening.
I mean, that's another thing that really sort of, like, resonates now for me as well. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ.
It's just so weird to look at something like this, that it's like, it's fun to watch. It's like, oh yeah, look at this. Like, ooh, space fighting. And, oh fuck, why is this making me feel things?
Yeah. And I love the way that the visitors like slowly work their way in as well. Like they remove people who are a threat, like very covertly. They then they take some people and convert them. Now, like this whole conversion thing, we're not entirely sure, how that works.
That was going to be. Sorry to interrupt. That was going to be my one major question. Is I felt like that was a plot line that essentially dropped. Like I didn't know if they were wearing. Like, are they wearing human skin? Like the conversation between Mike and his cameraman slash partner, where he's like, "Look, he's left-handed, and now he's writing with his right hand. Like, what's going on?" Did they ever explain what that was?
So it's a process, a byproduct of the conversion process. So what the conversion process is something that they don't really show in the original miniseries. It's always this sort of like they talk about it and things like that. You see it in the final battle, and it's really weird what they do in the final battle, which is the sequel series.
So it's not just skin suits. It's not.
No. So they've actually physically gone in and messed with the actual person's mind,
Gotcha.
and basically brainwashed them in a sense. But the byproduct of that is they are no longer like right-handed; they're now left-handed. And it's
Gotcha.
that sort of thing. Like that's a way you can tell, essentially.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, it was just one of those like, is this as a drop plot line, or was this? I guess I should ask the bigger question: was this thing planned as like the multiple run miniseries? Because there are definite things in here that they leave for later. Like I'm thinking primarily of I'm forgetting the character's name again. I apologize, but the girl who they get pregnant.
Oh yeah, Robin,
right? It's like that was clearly left for later.
So they always wanted to do a sequel, like going into it, like this is the idea is like we can set this up as either a TV series, some more miniseries. Kenny Johnson wanted to do a series of TV movies afterwards, one like a year, of like these sequels, and you'd see it progress throughout. You do like maybe 3 or 4 of those are spread out over years, and it gives you you've got the time to make them and do them right, and
Sure,
you don't have to go have a huge amount of budget compared to like a miniseries. And they ended up opting to do a miniseries sequel, and very early on into that process, Kenny Johnson left because they were going down a route he didn't want to do. He didn't find it interesting. I think he'd started crafting the story at that point, and then they used some elements of his idea of his story and like other elements they brought in themselves, and there's like it was essentially, I think it was down to just like the direction they were going in wasn't what he wanted to do, and they wanted more action in it, and that's what happened. He was more interested in telling the sort of the human stories like he tells in V, with the action sort of around that. So that's why like the sequel series becomes this sort of laser battle, love scene, laser battle, love scene, laser battle, cliffhanger. That's literally how it works.
You're essentially talking me out of watching the sequel miniseries, because I was like fully in. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it after I get done with Friday the 13th. Like, this was fantastic, but I want more of what I watched. I don't.
Yeah.
Like my when I started losing a little bit of interest, because like, don't get me wrong, it holds up, it's fun, but like I was into the human stories. I liked the whole rebellion story. When it got into the action bits, I'm like, yeah, it's it's done fine for like it's engaging, it's fun. It definitely doesn't feel like TV action. It feels definitely more 80s action, like 80s movie action ish, with a lower budget, obviously, but like it felt more like that. So it's still engaging and fun, but the reason I was still in it at that point was because of everything that had come before it.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think it's worth a watch at some point, but I wouldn't recommend watching it, to be honest.
It's worth a watch, but I don't recommend it.
Well, I don't know. It does give like some sort of conclusion. Then they did the TV series afterwards, and it just kept sort of going. But it's just super sort of cheesy 80s stuff. I mean, like, I wasn't even joking when like there's jazz music that like there's literally like there's bits like scenes in it where it's like these two characters are having the little moment. It's basically turning into a love scene, and a freaking saxophone starts playing, and you're just like,
oh my god,
that's really cheesy.
There are things we've been doing a lot for behind the hype of older films now, because we're just going by person, and every now and then we get into these decades where I'm like, man, I'm so glad we grew out of that, like early 2000s death scenes that just go on and on and on, and they're just like, is everyone crying yet? No, they're not. Keep the death scene going. It's like, man, I'm so glad we're done with early 2000 death scenes. I'm really glad we're done with 80s sex scenes where all of a sudden all the candles in the house are lit and the lights have all turned blue, not off, and someone's playing a saxophone somewhere. I'm good.
Yeah. But yeah, it is really unfortunate what happened with the sort of the sequel, because it's got that potential that's built up so well. I mean, having said that, Kenny Johnson did write a sequel of his own, which ignores the final battle and everything that came after that, and it's just like a direct sequel to his actual miniseries. And he kept trying to get it made as a film, and then he ended up rewriting it as a book and had that published. And the book is really good. I mean, if you can actually find a copy of it, I'd recommend it as, like, you watch the miniseries, then go read the book, because it's a really good sequel, and it's set like, it's one of those ones that's set like 25, 30 years later or something like that, because he was always intending on it being, getting it made as a sequel, as a direct sequel, and when he was trying to get it made, it was like 25, 30 years later. So
that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I'd really would recommend it if you can find it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2020. We can find anything, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But there's something just kind of like, and that's the main reason why I talked about the sequel so much, because this show, this little mini series, 3 hours of time, does, like, and this is something, like, obviously on this channel of Welcome to Your Doom, formerly Venture Bros, that we really get into. It's world building. It's so good. Like, it does such a great job of establishing the Earth as it is, which is, a little bit different than our current Earth, or at least at the time current Earth, but it's still Earth. You get the aliens, you get the fact that, A, we're not alone out there, B, these guys are not the good guys out there, C, we don't know if there even are good guys, but there has to be somebody better than these fuckers. Like, there's just so much there, and it feels like this miniseries, as in-depth and crazy as it is, just barely scratches the surface of what's available. So it's like, it makes you want more. Like, in the best way, leaves you wanting more.
It really does. I mean, I always get to the end of it, and, like, I will still watch the final battle, but for me, it's less a satisfying conclusion to this miniseries, and it's more just like almost like a nostalgia trip now, of like just going back and watching some dumb alien action.
Yeah, I feel like if I were to watch the final battle, it'd be more of what I was afraid this was going to be.
Yeah, I think it probably would be. I think you'll probably get to the end of it and going, well, that was just, 80s action, like cheesy garbage. But I have to say, I have been shitting on it a lot. There are some great moments in the sequel series. Like, Michael Ironside shows up in the second part and sticks around to the end. And he's fucking phenomenal in it. He's absolutely incredible. Like, he's one of the best characters in the whole thing. And he's one of the characters that people keep bringing up to this day, of saying, like, and he's got great names, all Ham Tyler. Like, literally, ham like the meat. But he's just so good in that miniseries. He's essentially just the badass, and he does it so well. I mean, it's like Michael Ironside. He does that, he could do that like half asleep.
Oh yeah.
But he's brilliant in it, and it does have some great moments in it. But the problem is, it's got great moments surrounded by all this other sort of like 80s cheese, essentially. Like, a lot of people sort of like think of V and think, oh yeah, that cheesy 80s thing with the lizard people and things like that, and they're always thinking of like the final battle, the TV series that followed it, because it's not really that cheesy, the original miniseries. I mean, like you were saying, it holds up to this day. Like, it's got some cheesy elements in it, like the bit where you see Diana's jaw unlock and she puts the big sort of like gerbil or something in it.
A guinea pig, yeah.
Guinea pig, yeah.
Yeah.
The effects there don't really hold up, but the very preceding shot where you see the neck sort of bulging out as she's sort of like swallowing it, that's really cool.
Yeah, and even like that effect, it doesn't feel out of place. Like, because of the era that we're watching this thing, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a little cheesy or corny, but that's just because of age. But at the time, like, I don't think it would have really bothered me, because we are watching a sci-fi series about aliens coming to Earth who are wearing human skin and they're lizard people underneath. Like, the very concept itself is a little corny.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter how corny the concept is, it just depends on your execution. Case in point, The Dark Knight. Like, this is about a man in a fucking rubber bat suit fighting a clown. You couldn't get a more ridiculous thing, but that movie takes it pitch black serious. And then you have a very serious film. It's all about execution. And I think this miniseries is just like that. Like, you could have made this campy and ridiculous. You could have Benny Hill music over many of the fights, like, and it would have still been funny and worked. Or you could take it serious and treat it like what you want it to be, which is clearly what they did here. And you get something that might have corny moments, but it's a very serious story.
Yeah, and it's a really sort of timeless story, in that you can sort of see it as a retelling of the Nazi uprising. You can now sort of, like, unfortunately in this day and age, you can now see it as a fascist party, and you know, Trump is a fascist as far as I'm aware, as far as I'm concerned. You can see it as a fascist party rising up in America and pointing the finger at, like, you know, these people are wrongs.
You can see all the Trump comparisons throughout, of the whole, like, no, we're smart, scientists are dumb, so listen to us, not them. Like, the whole, like, we're one of you, we're just like you. And it's like, dude, you shit in golden toilets, and you're telling people who've been unemployed for 6 months that you're just like them? Get the fuck out of here. It's like, this is the same thing. We're just like you. You fucking flew here in a spaceship. You are not just like us. You are eons beyond us. But they sell it so well that everyone just falls for it.
And it's that sort of thing of all that, how quickly a lot of people turn on their, like, fellow humans for these visitors, because these visitors, the aliens can, you know, they can reward them. Yeah. I mean, like, the character of Eleanor, Mike Donovan's mother, she's a fucking brilliant character.
Great character.
How
Hated
quickly
her so
does she?
much.
How quickly does she turn to just like, oh, we can do this. We can get this thing. Like, you know, straight away she's like, you should put in a bid on your plant, and then it's like immediately, you know, she sells out the Maxwells. Yeah. She hears the little baby cry, and then, like, immediately goes and rings up things like, if I think someone's smuggling someone out, you know, what should I do? And it's like, oh, well, I don't want any kind of reward. And you're like, you lying bitch.
Yeah. Oh my God. Her speech to Mike, like, I'm a survivor. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. I hate you so much.
I mean, you could literally take that speech, stick it in a World War II film of, like, you know, and have a collaborator with the Nazis saying that, and you wouldn't have to change a fucking line. It is so well written.
She delivers it so well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not familiar with that actor much beyond anything. A lot of people in this are, than Freddy Krueger and then two people from the show Oz, which I loved seeing both of them in here. Like, it took me a minute. I'm like, why do I know you? Oh, I've seen you be horrible. Fantastic actors, though, so I always like seeing them pop up. Yeah. But it's still, like, just going back to, like, the whole how surprised I am at how well it holds up, there isn't a bad performance in this. Like, there isn't a single person I'm like, that didn't work. Like, everyone is on their game, and they're all just, like, they're all keeping each other up the whole time. Like, they're feeding into each other. Like, that's a whole world-building thing. You buy that these people know each other, have history together, you get it. And that whole conversation, circling back, between Mike and his mom, and you can just see that Mike has been dealing with this frustratingly conservative mother his whole life, and this is her peak. Like, oh, this is as bad as she can get. Good to know, I guess.
Yeah.
But without speaking about their whole history, you can still see it on their faces, in their mannerisms, the way they have barely a relationship. It's all there in a very short amount of screen time.
Yeah, and it's all set up really early that they don't have this great relationship. Like, when the stepfather points out, oh, there's Mike there, and she's like, yeah, well, he barely spoke to me. It's like, well, he's really busy, obviously. And it's that sort of way she says it. And it's like, it's that sort of self-importance thing. It's like, oh, he didn't even have time to come over and say hi to me. He's fucking busy working. He's a cameraman on a news thing. He's covering a huge freaking story.
At this point, the largest story in the world's history. Like, he's a little busy.
Boo-hoo, he didn't come and say hi. He fucking did say hi to her, but he didn't stick around long enough. Boo fucking who.
Oh, what a great, terrible character.
Yeah, I mean, like, did you know? I don't know if you really picked up on it, because I sort of picked up on it this time, and it's one of the visitors looks like fucking Donald Trump.
No, I totally missed that. But now I got.
So do you know the guy who is the really talkative one, where Mike's sort of escaping the mothership, and he's like, you know, that Barbara says, "Don't speak," and it's like, yeah, my voice will give me away, and he's like talking to him, and he's the one who ends up chasing him in the fight as well. I saw it this time, and I'm like, holy crap, he looks like Donald Trump.
I'll have to rewatch that scene. I definitely missed it. But man, that scene is tense as hell.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he
Where
gets the
it's like-
talkative guy, I'm like, he's fucked. And
Yeah,
I didn't.
And he's there like, what unit you with? And he's like, just like, showing him like the two fingers and stuff like that. And it's like, oh shit.
Now, how quickly do you think he was onto him? I think
I think as soon as he held up the two fingers and was just sort of like, he's not even speaking.
Yeah, I think as soon as he didn't reply to like the second question, which might have been which unit are you with?
Yeah.
He's like, Bob, fuck. Who is this guy? Because he doesn't stop talking from there. And then when they're getting off the ship, you gonna answer me? You gonna answer? Just
I want to hear you say goodbye. I fucking love that. As he's aiming as well. Come on, I want to hear you say goodbye. And then he like throws the guy, like steals the truck and is like, goodbye.
Oh my god, such a good moment.
It's just like like the intensity of that, and just you can imagine like that's probably not going to be a really quick trip down there as well.
No,
but they're all sort of crammed in, so it's like you can just imagine he's just pushing and pushing and pushing all the way down.
Oh, for sure. Like that had to be like, I don't want to start a gunfight on a ship, but as soon as we get off, I'm icing this dude.
Yeah.
But there's something that kind of
so
like
good.
It reminded me a lot of the Donald Sutherland body snatcher scene of just like, wait, he knows. Oh shit, he knows. Yeah. God, I haven't watched that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I considered it for my Halloween films actually this year.
It's a good one. It's not great, and it doesn't hold up that well, but it's still fun. Like I love the body.
I enjoy it.
Stuff. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of all of the remakes, but that one I like.
Yeah. There's like I know we're trying to keep this sort of like under like so many times, there's so much time, but there's so much to really. We barely scratched the surface on a lot of this stuff as well, because we've not even talked about Robert Maxwell selling out the rest of the resistance to save his daughter, and then he has that moment of like, I can't do this. I've got to warn the camp. And then he sort of like basically steals a jeep and just like sort of tears ass going towards it, and then immediately like you know that they're not gonna wait for wait till that time anyway. But just that horrible that moment of realization where it's like, it's not 4 o'clock, you lied, and you see the ships going across, and it's just that, oh god.
There was something about that scene, especially the whole Robert stuff, that just really bothered me, and I don't know what it was. Like, it could have just been the emotional aspect of it, of like, okay, if I sell out the camp, I keep my daughter. If I don't sell out the camp, my daughter dies. And it's just like that perfect rock and a hard place situation. And I don't know how he could have handled it in a way that would have made me more comfortable with it, but it still just kind of felt like this is just such a fucked situation that it was just like, it frustrated me as a viewer. Like, this guy is just beyond fucked, and I don't think he handled it in any proper way. I don't know which way he could have handled it. Like, he didn't know that Mike was going to get onto the ship and save his daughter. He didn't know that was going to happen. So he had to do what he had to do. But at the same time, it just made me feel like angrily uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes,
like, it's not a knocking
sense.
show.
I think that's how you're expected to feel in that situation. Yeah, like I said, it's literally a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I feel like they probably, my saying that would be like Kenneth Johnson would be like, good, that was the intention. I'm glad I made you uncomfortable. But there's
like
just
that
there's
visitor
something about,
as well.
I was just saying, there's something about the actual like the scene where he's like, look, dude, I know you know where the camp is. Tell me where the camp is, or I kill your daughter. He's like, I can't. My wife and kids are out there. If I give that away, I'm fucked. And he's like, all right. And just like from that moment on, I'm like, what I honestly thought was going to happen, and almost what I prefer to happen, although this was definitely better, doesn't change my mind still, was I almost wanted him to be like, okay, here's the camp. Great. All right, let's go to the camp and just shoot him and keep going. Because that, to me, felt more in line with the aliens. And I think that might be the only reason why it might have bumped me a little bit, because this guy is just a wasted space at this point. They don't need him. They don't care about him. They're not really keeping up appearances with anybody here because he's the only one there. And they're going to go kill everybody at the camp anyways, and probably the daughter, because every human is expendable. Like, they're either food or they're slaves. Like, it's one or the other. So...
See, I sort of read it as they'll keep the daughter and keep him to feed them more information.
I guess it's because they still went to go after the family. Like, they're still going to take everybody out because they gave him only to 4 o'clock. So if he didn't get it done by 4 o'clock, they're killing his family. It felt like a misfire of a situation. Like, in my mind, knowing the aliens, I'm like, they would have just killed him. Like, why wouldn't they just kill him after they get the info? Because now he's either kidnap him and keep him for more info.
Yeah,
or
either
just kill
they'd have
him.
taken him. Yeah, they'd either have killed him there or taken him up to the ship. They probably would have taken him to the mothership.
Yeah.
Really, rather than killed him, because then you can still extract more information.
Sure, yeah. I think the letting him go is what gave me that kind of uneasy feeling. On top of the whole rock and the hard place situation, which is already a horrible situation for this character to be in, it just, in a show that is so airtight and I can't say flawless for pretty much anything, but as close to flawless as a fucking 80s miniseries can get, it's weird to have that one kind of glaring, like, okay, this is just here for entertainment. Like, I'm so into this world because everything feels real, but this moment here feels like you're doing this for me, the viewer, not for the world. And I don't like being able to notice those moments and stuff. And if that's my one major complaint with the series, then, like, fucking 4 stars. Like, I have one thing.
Yeah, you got one issue with it.
Yeah, it's like...
I mean, it's like that visitor as well, the captain, he's very, very good at convincing as well. Like, that whole thing, like, from one father to another, it's just like, Jesus Christ, he's good. He's very fucking good.
And it was that line that made me go, like, oh, so they're going to kill him now. Like, he is just saying anything he can to give him to give up all the info. And, oh, he got it. And then, oh, no, he's still letting him live?
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought of it really that much in that way, but you're probably right. Like, the way they've acted throughout, they would have just taken him up to the mothership as well, and then just extracted more information. Yeah,
and got more information, or thrown him in a bag for food later. Like, it would have been one or the other. Like, letting him go potentially screw things up for them, because if they didn't let him go, they would have won.
Yeah. The only thing I can think that would justify it is if they didn't let him go, someone in the actual resistance base there would have noticed he's gone, and they may have changed the plans. They may have gone, like, because they may have thought, oh, he's been caught, we need to change our plan, and, like, we need to move quicker. That's the only thing that I can think that would maybe justify them letting him go, keeping him around where it's...
Yeah, that makes sense, but I still think, like, they lost the daughter and nobody even blinked an eye at that.
Yeah, but the daughter's the daughter. She's just sort of around. I think, like, Robert's actually been actively involved in that. He was talking about the anthropology behind it.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah, I mean, this is the great thing about it as well. Like, it's sort of like you're leading on to more that's coming after that as well. With, like, you've got then the execution of the actual plan, which I think is great. The way they do it, and I love the bit as well when Mike's going back into the alien ship and fucking Donald Trump visitor is on the same goddamn shuttle again. And you see that look on his face. He's not next to him this time, but he's behind there. You see that he fucking pulls the cap down and he's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Like, what are the odds? Oh, that's a great moment. I also really liked, God, what was it? No, I'm blanking on it. It was something to do. Oh, the other thing I really liked in the show that I wish they'd given just a little bit more time to, but I know it was already kind of tight, but it would have been kind of cool to get a little bit more of, like, which aliens are like, what we're doing is wrong. Like, maybe we shouldn't be killing entire civilizations for water. Like, we could work with them and it would be okay. Because we have the one guy who's actually on the ship that Mike's like, no, you're not getting off. We need you here. I know it's scary, but we're all fucking scared. So please stay. We need you. And then we have, I think Robert Englund was like, was kind of pro-human. I kind of got that vibe for him, but he also kind of disappears.
Well, bear in mind this is before Nightmare on Elm Street, so he's not a very well-known actor at this point. He's one of the sort of the minor characters, and he does sort of like, he keeps going. He's there throughout towards the end. I mean, like towards the end when they set the explosives off at the plant, Harmony, like, sort of, he stood right next to the explosion, and she shouts "Willow," and he sort of like comes over to him, and then it blows up. So he's right there towards the end. And you've got like Martin, the one on the ship. That scene where it's like, we're all scared. I love that.
It's a great scene.
The guy who plays Martin, Frank Ashmore, I think he's called. The look on his face when he looks back and sees Sancho, who's sat in the back, looking like fucking tortured and like completely out of it, and he's just like, okay, you're right. And he just gives him the advice on how to fly the ship, and it's just like, geez, that it's so understated, and that's one of the things that I really like about this series is it's not like typical 80s stuff where everything's overblown and everything. There's quite a lot of understated subtleties in a lot of the performances.
Yeah. Performance, like I said, performances throughout are fantastic. We got to hit one more thing before we start wrapping up here, and I think it's probably the most important thing in the show. But we got to talk about the ending. Yeah. Because if you're sitting down watching this show for the first time, like I did, you might not be expecting the humans to essentially lose in the end.
Yeah, pretty much.
They hopefully lose. They win the battle, but the war, they're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, yikes.
I mean, there's that line, and it's like, she literally says, yeah, we won the battle, but the war is just beginning. It's like, yeah. It's the war, a war of like, tiny little resistance pockets versus this huge thing.
And it was, and I love the whole, like, yes, we're reaching out there, we're reaching out into space, letting people know who's here and asking for help, but we need to face the very, very real possibility that it's us versus them, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really loved that. Like, I love the whole, like, we're going to ask for help, but we have to prepare as if they're not coming. Because if we're waiting for them, we will lose. Because these guys are here now.
Yeah.
And
we can't just rely on someone to come and save us.
Yeah. And especially because you don't know who's coming. You don't know. Especially, you're just reaching out into the dark, hoping for the best. We don't know. Are these the good guys in space? Like, they mentioned that they have an enemy. And Mike just assumes, well, enemy of my enemy would be my friend, right? And they're like, we don't know.
Yeah, I love that as well because it's not a definite answer of it. It's just so much like maybe,
or maybe they just show up and enslave both of us. We don't know.
Yeah,
but you're really just hoping for the best because you know that as humans right now, we can win small fights if they don't think they're coming. But if they're taking us as a legit threat, we are way outgunned.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just such a smart way to end this. And I even kind of like glancing through your article you wrote on this a while back, and it's like I totally agree. I think this is the only satisfying ending for this. I think if they'd gone Independence Day and like, yep, we won, hooray for humans, and didn't really feel earned, especially given the way this was going. Like they were 100 steps ahead of the human race every step of the way. It really wouldn't make sense for us to load a computer virus into their ships and bring them down.
Yeah.
So I think it works. I think it works really well. And it's just the best of filmmaking when it's a very sad ending. Like the human race has lost, but it still ends hopeful. Like that is a very tiny needle to thread. And I think they did a great job with it.
Yeah. It's like we've lost for now, but we might be able to win. It's that sort of that hopefulness. Like you were saying, it's great. I love that, and it's got that sort of that end, but there's just that one little music cue that gives you that hopefulness. It's like do 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 do.
Yeah,
and it's just like oh yeah, and then it jumps into that really sort of like upbeat. I can never remember what the actual lyrics are. I think they're Latin lyrics or Italian or something like that. But they essentially it translates to something like glory for something. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch the audio commentary. Kenny Johnson actually mentions what the lyrics actually translate to. But this is what I mean. Like when the music as well, like everything's so well thought out. So you got the music has got that sort of that V thing, and it's all around that. The idea of like an occupation and people like ordinary people sort of rising up, going back to this is the kind of thing that they used to like World War II thing that Beethoven Fifth Symphony was that opening thing, and it's
Yeah.
a very similar sort of motif that they use in that. And it's I keep saying a lot, but I always have these sort of things like I just can't articulate it, and like whatever I can come up with would probably not be wouldn't do it justice.
I mean,
as well.
We're going to cover an entire series here in a week. I'll do the exact same thing. Don't worry. But speaking of which, I feel like we've been talking for nearly an hour. We should probably try to wrap this up a little bit. I didn't really have anything planned for the end here. Like, quotes would be really tough, although there are great ones in it. Favorite moment, I thought, was probably be our best thing. Like, what was your favorite moment of this, if you had to pick one? Like, if you had one moment to try to sell somebody on it, like, what would you show them from this series?
See, I think my favorite moment, it's not necessarily something I would show them to get them interested in it.
Okay.
But my favorite moment in it is it's right near the end, and it's where Sidney gets the letter out and hands it to his wife and says, "This is a letter my dad wrote." And when she's reading that letter, it's the performance is just outstanding. It is so heart-wrenching as well.
Oh yeah.
Like that whole speech, that whole thing that she reads out, and then he just sort of caps it off with, "We have to help them, or else we won't have learnt a thing." And it's just, it calls back, like the callback right back to when Abraham said that to Sidney. It was just like, he's talking about it, and going back to him telling him about how his mother actually made it to the camps, and she was taken off to the showers with no water.
Oh,
and it's like, we have to help them, otherwise, we won't have learnt a thing. It's just so powerful. Like there's this series, the miniseries has so many powerful moments in it like that, which, it just blows me away. Still, I've seen it God knows how many times, and that scene where she's reading that letter, it still blows me away of how powerful it is.
My scene would be, it's actually very much related to yours. And again, much like yours, I'm not sure if I'd show it to somebody to get them to watch it. Maybe that was the wrong way to phrase this. But it's a scene we actually already talked about, and it has to be the spray painting scene, like where the kids are graffitiing the thing, and he's like, "No, it's a V for victory." And it's just such a good moment of like, this guy who's been through this war-esque situation before, and he can call it all out. He sees everything that's happening, and he's like, "Hey guys, we're fucked, but we need to be hopeful, and this is how we do it." It's just such a great, powerful moment. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just there. It hits the beats it needs to hit. It leaves you with like this emotional punch, and then it gets out. Like, it is just such a well-crafted scene. I loved it.
It's perfect. It's the perfect way to end the first part as well.
Yeah,
you see 100%. That scene's like, well, I'm coming back for part 2.
Yeah, how could you
I need to know what happens next.
Yeah. And that was kind of my problem. Like, that's why I'm glad we spent some time talking about the sequel, because I was doing the same thing at the end of it. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't need to see what happens next. I'll try to find the book.
Yeah. Definitely read the book. The book is great. The book is really good, and it's a much better sequel as well. Because even in the original miniseries, Martin mentions that the plan will take a generation. Yeah. But it will work, and it literally is a generation later. So the actual timing of it works out really well, and I like how they did seed that in case maybe we won't do a sequel straight away. Maybe we'll come back to it later. But it was such a huge popular success. They were sort of like, they pushed for a sequel really quickly. And I think another reason why Kenny Johnson walked away is that they were rushing it as well. They were sort of like the sequel came out the very next year.
Yeah, there is one movie that I can think of, or I guess, no, I'll give it one, that was rushed beyond comparison, and I still thought it worked, and that is Scream 2. That's about it. I found V, the second generation, written by Kenneth Johnson on Amazon. It goes for quite a bit of money, but we'll see if I can track it
down.
All right, well, we're just about to actually hit an hour on this thing, so I think we should wrap up with some plugs here, and then we'll say goodbye. First plug, if you didn't get the thing that I was saying in the beginning of this, next Friday, Friday the 13th, Matt and I here with a couple of special guests will be doing a ranking episode of the entire Friday the 13th series, including both the remake and Freddy vs. Jason. So we got 12 out of 12 films going. I could not be more excited for this episode. I've been watching the movies relentlessly because I got that lovely Blu-ray box set. I am through movie 5 at this point. I'm going to try to watch 6 tonight and then the rest throughout the week. I am very glad to be done with 5. 5 is not my favorite of the franchise, but you know, it happens. Everyone has a bastard child. And yeah, I'm very excited to do it. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be ranking Final Girls. We're going to be ranking kills, movies, tons of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to tune into that. And then on Behind the Hype, this all month long, we are studying the amazing actor Hugo Weaving. We started out on November 5th this week with V for Vendetta. A lot of V in my watching the past week or so.
Yeah, I pointed that out to you. Like, the other day I was like thinking, this week's going to be V week for you.
It really is. And the best thing about V for Vendetta, I will spoil for you now if you don't want to listen to our episode. It's amazing the parallels between the movie V for Vendetta and our current society. Capping it all off, the movie V for Vendetta takes place in 2020.
Seriously? I never realized that.
Blows my mind. Apparently even the writers were like, we had no idea. We just picked 2020 out of a hat. We didn't know how accurate we were going to be.
Oh, God. People always talk about Simpsons predicting the future.
Yeah, who knows who's going to be V for Vendetta?
Oh, God, that's a scary, horrible thought.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. We've already recorded the episode. It was a lot of fun recording it. It might not have aged as kindly as we all hoped it would, but we still had a lot of fun talking about it. Matt, anything to plug?
I mean, I have an article about the original miniseries of V. I wrote it a couple of years ago, and I shared it to like a Facebook group that's like about V, and it ended up getting sent to Kenny Johnson himself, who got in contact, and he had some very, very nice things to say about it. He felt it was like very well researched, and yeah. He sent me a signed photo for it. It was amazing. It's like one of the most amazing experiences of sort of like this whole thing, podcasting and writing articles. That was the first one where, something I'd written had got sent into the original creator, and I was blown away by his response. I still have the email like saved. It was just such a really nicely written email.
I'm sure I would have printed it out and framed it.
It's I'll probably do that at some point. To be fair, next to the photo, the signed photo that he sent me.
Yeah.
So go check that out. I imagine we can probably put a link in the.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So a big thanks to Matt for recommending this. I'm so glad I took the time to watch it. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to watch it, because there was a point there where we thought we may not be able to make this episode.
Yeah.
But
there was a moment where I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to have time because work was getting a little nuts. But then things calmed down. I got a big window. I was able to get through the majority of it in one sitting. Got it done.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to, because it was so much fun to actually talk about this.
Oh, of course, yeah. I like it when it's actually fun to talk about.
Yeah, unlike Prom Night.
That poor movie. Yeah, be sure to check out Behind the Hype to hear us try to be nice to Prom Night. Oof. It was a rough one. Okay, thank you everyone so much for listening. This was a lot of fun. Tune in next Friday for our Friday the 13th ranking episode. And we'll be back with Welcome to Your Doom regular episodes here at the end of the month. If not beginning of next month, depending on when Graham's able to get back from work. So thank you again, and bye.
Bye.